Hello flyers, my name is Renee. I'm here to share with you today some entry-level experiences in your anti-gravity hammock. This is an opportunity to ease yourself gradually into the experience of inversion, to get familiar with the mobility of three-dimensional space as we are supported by the hammock in different positions, and to begin to build your proprioceptive awareness, your sensory understanding of where your body is in space with the feedback of the hammock support and wraps. Today I'd like to invite you to begin by finding the front edge of your hammock closest to you, making sure that the hammock is not folded in on itself by locating that thin rolled seam and snaking it out gently. We're going to invite now ourselves to straddle the hammock 1 foot over, gathering up each side of the hammock so I can broaden the support into a seat and come to nestle the hammock down to the back of my knees. Once you steady yourself here, you might find that you can play with the positioning of your pelvis until you sense that your torso is balanced directly above your pelvis, the neck and shoulders relaxed, and the head lightly balanced on top. This can be a place to have a few moments of seated connection to your body and to your breathing. Taking this moment to set an intention for your practice. You may be looking for a certain quality of experience in your body. You may be looking to hone in on a specific area of your body that needs attention today. Or you may simply be looking to experience a sensation of integration and connection. As we invite some gentle movement, you may like to begin by gathering your hammock into a pillar in front of the body, gently squeezing the inner thighs and rounding out through the spine, encouraging that flexion and release. And from there, as we find our heels into the support of the hammock, we can look to gather the hammock firmly, use a little bit of momentum to bring our heel into a heel trap, and then send that leg along. I'm going to repeat that to the second side. And you'll find yourself nestled inside your straddle. From here, you might use your hands high so that you can achieve, again, that positioning of sitting right onto the head of the sit bones. Here, you can use the back wall of the hammock to help align the back of the skull over your tail, pressing the back of the shoulders into the wall behind you and reaching length through the collarbones, reaching length through the inner groin. I invite you here to find some gentle side stretches, reaching hands toward 1 foot, pushing down into the sitting bones to rise and gathering your hands all the way over to the other side. Inhaling to rise and exhaling to reach. Inhale to rise. Exhale to reach. Returning back to center, your arms finding a T. Your feet might like to form a diamond and the hands encase around as if they were hugging the pillar in front of you. This time on the inhale, look for that expansion across the chest, expanding through inner groin, and exhale to gently contract. Inhale, again looking for that sense of expanse. Exhale to contract. Inhalation. And exhale. And then coming to set your feet free. I'm going to use the hammock to pull taut and tape at the center, so it's a little easier to scoot the pelvis and lift your back leg up and over. As we come into some other gentle mobilizing for the spine, just take a little wiggle until you feel aligned and level with both sides of your pelvis, and then come to open your angel wings out to a T. From here, we're going to allow the body to arrive softly into the support of the hammock. The fingers can hold the top edge between thumb and forefingers, and the heels can kick the bottom edge all the way out. Here you might press down through the back of your skull and shoulders and through the back of your heels and allow your pelvis to lighten. We're going to look to take a gentle side flexion, heels and hands going toward the right, and then heels and hands going toward the left. Our aim here is to gently open the sides of the body, getting a sense of length and space, finding a way to move in tune with your breathing. And when you feel ready, taking your time to reach with one hand over to the side sail of your hammock and give a gentle tug to arrive onto the side of your body. Here I continue to use my thumbs in the top edge and form a tension pillow under my head, and I stack my hips and shoulders, elbows over each other, and gently squeeze to center. As I pull with my hands the hammock overhead like a hood, I'm using an oppositional pressure to expand the back body into the wall of hammock, stretching the legs long, flexing toes gently, and then opening that whole front surface of the body. A squeeze of heels to buttock, a curl of nose to belly, and stretch the legs long. Sweep it open, looking through the eyebrows, and exhaling to curl and flex. Seeing if you can again make your movement as fluid as possible, remembering your body is almost all water. When you feel ready, we're going to take our time to roll onto the spine, again facing the ceiling, and using now your other hand to pull you over into a side lying position, making sure the head and neck feels aligned with the rest of the spine. You're pulling gentle tension with the top of the hammock with your fingers. As you curl to flex, nose to chin, pubis to navel, round out through the back body and stretch those legs long, sweeping back and opening the whole front surface of the body. This sensation is a way to promote more and more mobility through the spine, to invite that hydration of the intervertebral discs as we gently squeeze and compress and then release that pressure. Becoming more and more fluid, a sense of rippling from your center all the way out to the periphery of your heels and head. And then when you feel ready, take your time to roll again onto your spine. And from here, as we prepare to exit the hammock, the feet find the floor, the hands apply a gentle pressure, and we can come all the way to sitting. As we take several steps back behind, the hammock will help us onto our feet, the hands assisting gently. We're going to look to make a change now with the hammock height from mid-height to low height. And you can do that usually by reaching or using a small step ladder. I'm going to drop the hammock down now so it's just a few inches off the floor. And should you find that that is too extreme when we come into back bending postures, of course you can always drop it lower. You can even be just 2 mils off the floor to still get benefit. So from this position, I'm going to find myself down onto the ground. In a similar way, I can use the hammock's aid. You might double wrist wrap for security and prevent any difficulty you might be experiencing with your grip. And then take your time to slowly straighten the arms and walk your way underneath, allowing yourself to have a soft landing to the floor. You'll arrive just slightly behind the plumb line of your hammock. And from here today, we can begin to mobilize a little more deeply into the hips, knees, and ankles. I'm going to take one foot today and place it into a heel wrap where I have support above and below my heel. And feel free to move it around until you find comfort with that wrap. As you allow your leg on the floor to remain slightly externally rotated, it will help you keep an anchorage into your pelvis. The fingertips are propped and we're looking for expanse through the chest and elongation through the spine. I'm going to begin with finding small movements here, allowing hip, knee and ankle to coordinate their motion. When you feel ready to explore the other direction, take your time. If you do experience any discomfort in your knee during this movement, you might like to support your knee by bringing the wrap higher up underneath the knee joint. As we take it deeper into a wide, full abduction, we're looking to cross over the center line, feeling the thigh roll as it kicks through, and then externally rotating the thigh as it reaches wide. So this movement is wonderfully lubricating for the hip. It's a great opportunity to focus on the stability of the lumbar spine as you resist the rotation from the torso and try to focus on that rotation just coming from thigh bone and pelvis. As we allow the leg to come to a slight pause, we can take a quarter turn today so that we're now inviting more adductor length through the inside thigh. If this is enough, you might choose to stay and breathe a few relaxed and lengthened exhales. But should it be comfortable for you to move further into the posture, you might begin by resting forearms or resting forebrow or outstretching your arms all the way to the sides of the room. Notice your breath leaving your body, a complete and lengthened exhale. Invite the breath in with no effort of your own. And taking time to rise. If you'd like to take this deeper into a full pigeon, again a quarter turn, using the hands to take the weight off the lower hip and using downward tension in the hammock. Our aim is to lift the pelvis to the height of our back heel in the hammock and rotate the knee and thigh down toward the floor. Here you can make sure the hammock is just off the knee, but you have the support of the hammock to push down into. You might like to invite spaciousness through the whole front surface of your spine and then gently arrive again onto forearms or onto folded fists. The back leg remains actively pushing down into the hammock. You have that option to even stretch the arms fully if that feels good. Here we focus on lengthened exhales, visualizing with each exhale that the head is reaching away from the pelvis, that the two legs are working in opposition away from your center. Whenever you feel ready to rise, again we're going to look to float the pelvis to the height of the ankle in the hammock and take a gentle swivel back and around before returning to the front. As I transition to the second side, I'm going to move through that same sequence here, looking to arrive onto the head of the sitting bones, beginning with articulating through the hip, knee and ankle in a gentle circling motion. I always love to imagine moving sand with my foot on the beach. You might like to reverse that action. And remembering that if you need that extra support at any time, you can bring the hammock underneath the knee joint. So we move into a wider abduction for the inner thigh. I'm going to look to roll the thigh internally as it crosses center line. And you might like to think of turning your torso in the opposite direction of the reach of your foot. So it helps you get more rotation through the spine, a little bit more activation into your obliques, while getting some great mobility into your hip. As we take time to move deeper, you might take again that quarter turn, arriving as best as you can with both sitting bones on the floor. So this might be the first position and enough if that's working for you. Or taking your forearms down, offering a rest for the forebrow, or outstretching the arms.
Relax the shoulders away from the ears if you've moved into the deeper position. Keep sensing the sitting bones are reaching to the back of each independent knee. The back of the neck is still broad and lengthened. When you're ready to continue and move deeper into the pigeon posture, our hands can come either side of that front bent knee, applying weight down into the hands as we rotate that back hip. Keeping tension with the back foot into the hammock. I'm looking to invite length now through the whole front surface of the spine, looking through the eyebrow. As we descend down, the support of the forearms will help you. Pause where you need to. If you're going deeper, you might rest forebrow or outstretch the arms. The back leg is still actively working, encouraging more length through the front of the hip. And we're looking for long, smooth exhales. When you feel ready, taking your time to bring yourself all the way back and around to the front once again. So we find both feet into an ankle trap. We're preparing for a supine position to get a little deeper into rotation. I'm going to scoot my pelvis slightly underneath the plumb line and allow the hands to help the body arrive gently to the floor. In this position, just check that the back of your neck feels lengthened out along the ground. You might like to have your arms out at a T, just gently supporting that connection through the back of the shoulders. As we start with just a gentle rock initially, you can always return back to this simple movement if that feels best for your spine today. But if you'd like to take it deeper into rotation, we're going to imagine the knees and ankles are bound, so they work together in their alignment. As we come all the way over toward one side, knees hug in towards side ribs and armpit, and we take a roll onto the outer hip on the other side. Look for that smooth quality in the rolling across the back of your sacrum, and see if you can slow down the range, slow down the speed as you come into that end of range. If you feel comfortable to take a moment to pause in that double knee bend and give your spine a little bit more time to adapt to some fascial change. You might even like to slip your upper leg over and allow its weight to pour. Here we're unconcerned if the opposite shoulder lifts, just allow it to go with the body. This is much more about just finding natural movement. If you'd like to explore that to the other side, it can be always nice to move through a gentle freedom of motion to each side first, and then take yourself into a longer hold on that second side. Perhaps again that offering of leading the upper leg out onto the floor. A visualization of pouring the weight down into the floor and reaching your collarbones toward each end of the room. I like to imagine here that the heart could be heavy and sink a little deeper down between the shoulder blades. A relaxation of the tops of the shoulders. When we're ready to return, again you might like to give yourself that opportunity to move freely through both sides, and then slowly reduce that motion back to a very subtle ankle trap. This is always a lovely place for an ankle trap nap. If you feel you'd like to take a few moments of pause, you may like to bring your palms into light contact, feeling the connection and warmth of your hands, and then gently circling friction, really located into the center of the hand, where we conduct the most energy. As that heat builds to a temperature that's comforting and relaxing to you, you have the opportunity now to bring the hands over the eyes. If you're wearing glasses, just gently slip them off and see if you can place the heel of the hand on the lower rim of the eye socket and the fingers around the forebrow. Let the shoulders relax and descend their weight and receive warmth and gentle pressure.
Feel the front body melt into the back body. Let the weight of your legs be completely supported by your hammock. And notice the rhythm of the breath has again become relaxed. The frontal brain calming, disengaging our analytical process and moving more into our sensory integration of being. Do you feel ready to release your hands? I'm going to invite the hammock now to come into a heel trap at the front. So I'm feeling firmness underneath the arches of my feet on that front tension edge. The back edge I'm seeking to find with my fingers and make that available for me. And I like to have a nice thin edge so that I'll have maximal comfort when I come into the next skirt wrap. As I'm pushing down with maximal tension, I'm going to feel a squeeze of heels to buttocks, so my heels will not go forward, they will go downward. And that will help with the bridging action now of your hips. Scooting the hammock under, like putting a pair of pants on in bed, and then letting your legs outstretch. Now, if you ended up with a bulk of hammock here and it's digging into you, you can again just find with your fingers this thin edge and feel free to kick out the excess until you've got just a thin support. Arms might be at 45 degrees or a T or a Y, wherever they feel comfortable for your neck and head. You might explore different positions over the next few minutes. This motion we begin to create with the pelvis is described as an undulation, a sense of allowing the pelvis to almost swim away from your spine. This is requiring me to use the least amount of muscular effort and to go more with a sense of momentum and weight. This can be a place where you might choose to close your eyes and visualize a spaciousness arriving between the two eyebrows and broadening out over the facial muscles. A spaciousness and warmth arriving in the heart region and broadening out over the upper body all the way to the periphery of your fingers. And our last point of focus is the spaciousness arriving just below the navel center, about 2 or 3 fingers breadth below the navel, and sensing from this region a warmth and spaciousness radiating out all the way over the lower limbs. Notice when your body wants to arrive to stillness and allow that to be a natural cessation of movement. Coming to that place where you feel completely supported, able to release your full physical weight into the hammock and floor. Notice the breath leaving the body with a long and continuous stream. When we feel ready to change and continue on, we're going to find again the floor with our feet. You might take a moment to knock the knees inward if that feels relieving to your low back. Or you might keep the knees parallel and just enjoy a very subtle windscreen wiper sway. The next time those legs sway over toward your right, see if you can reach with your right fingertips and gather that pillar up into a tapered point. And then we'll repeat that on the left side, just gathering it up. Now I've formed a little booty pouch around the buttock and I can press down now firmly into my feet. For those who struggle with hip extension, I often like to keep 2 blocks handy and I move the blocks with my feet to place them underneath the heels, and then you can use that as an extra leverage to boost upward. Once you've got that height and you can clear the hammock under the buttock, the hammock's going to nestle just underneath the sacral area, about S2, and just above your glute flesh. Applying now front tension and relaxing the back of the neck. This can be enough for some people as it starts to gently give traction
between S1 and L5. But if you'd like to increase that sensation, holding onto the hammock just as high as you can, lifting the head and shoulders about 1 millimeter off the floor, enough to just scoot yourself further away from the plumb line in the direction of your head. And now I have increased the traction, and I can increase that even more if I continue to apply front tension. For those of you who really enjoy that experience of extension, you might test with one leg to rest the heel toward the floor. And if that feels comfortable, test with the second leg. Whenever you feel ready to move, we're returning the feet, returning the hands into their holding position, and this time traveling forward of the plumb line. My nose arrives roughly directly under the rig, and here again I look for front tension to stabilize and float one knee at a time. Pausing here into a plumb position, the legs are going to find a saucer and then take a gentle outward wrap. In this position of supported diamond, your legs don't have to work. There's no need to monkey lock or even to press your feet together. They can simply relax. The aim is to let the legs be completely passive so that experience of inversion and circulatory shift is achieved more easily. This can be a place where the arms might be comfortable again at a T, and you can let your ankles start to initiate the momentum. So I'm applying a very subtle pressure with one ankle and then the other to get the movement going. By using the ankles, I can reduce the amount of muscular effort around my waist and really let those low back muscles stay passive and gently elongated. As with all motion, you can always choose when you need stillness. So if you get to that point that you would like to arrive to still, take a moment and let your body drop. Return again to observing relaxed and rhythmical breathing. If you would like to add a little more rotational movements through your body, here I can find a monkey lock with the feet, and as I drive, for example, my left leg up and rotate from the pelvic half and inner thigh, I point my toe away toward that front left corner of the room. Then I look to soften it down, exploring the other side, feeling that gentle wrap, and your head might naturally roll, just following the natural ergonomics of that spiral to take you gently into that full rotation through the spine, pelvis, and lower limb. Feel free to do as many as feels good for you before returning back to still. And at this point here, you might like to invite your ankles to draw a little deeper in if that's safe for your knees. An option to find your hands onto the front surface of the thighs, pushing toes toward the wall in front of you. Here I maximize the pressure of my shins and apply down and forward pressure with my hands into the thighs in the direction of the knees. You might naturally feel a gentle vacuum being created in your abdomen, and your chin might come down toward the notch of your neck to lengthen through the back of your neck. As you ease off the pressure, use your hands above you to scoot your pelvis now directly under the plum. As we explore a little more range through the hip, you can stabilize one foot into a monkey and then release the other leg out wide. Exploring a wide circumduction, taking the heel around and coming to point the toes away. From here, if it feels comfortable, you might descend your heel. If you'd like to go deeper, you might like to arc that heel in the direction of your opposite hand. Perhaps you reach or you just rest the foot to the floor. If it's comfortable for you, you might place the heel underneath the hip and just get that deeper movement through the quadricep. When releasing, allow the leg to take its time to come all the way out and take a full circle around, finding again your monkey. I'm going to repeat that to the other side, reaching it long and inviting now your leg to come all the way around, an opportunity to rest the heel down if that feels good, or to arc the foot over. Perhaps you find the foot with your hand, perhaps you take the foot underneath your buttock. Whenever you feel ready to release, a full circle out and around. As I prepare to exit from this back belt, I'm going to look to bring my legs back into a small plum position, and with a very slight push of the hammock, preparing for my hips to descend to the ground, I look to take a very subtle roll and bring those hips down to the floor. You might like to take another moment resting in neutral with your heels into your ankle trap, the back of your neck lengthened. A few moments to notice the changes in your spine. Now we've explored some gentle extension, rotation and flexion. When you feel ready, allowing those knees to bend, you might take the heels a little wider to be able to grasp a hold of the pillars. And from here, we can invite a gentle flexion through the spine, this time with more activity to broaden and protract the shoulder blades. And this is that now as I release, I'm going to look to find a support for my head called a skull wrap. I invite you to rest your head down here so your neck doesn't fatigue in the neck flexors, and just find your hands to do the work. This is a rough guesstimate here. I'm just going to take the back edges together and gather up the bulk of the hammock so that what I have underneath is a fold formed. And that folded edge is going to become like a little cap that sits just underneath the back of my skull, right under your occiput. If you have a lot of hair, you might like to poke that through. You'll feel like you're at the hairdresser's and someone's wrapped your head in a lovely towel. So once you've got that support just underneath the back of your occiput, the rest of the hammock is just going to bulk around in front of the crown, but it shouldn't bother you. And here I invite you to explore some different positions. At this point, I'm in a slight bit of flexion, but if I wanted to increase that flexion, I could ease my way back a fraction. If this was not comfortable and I wanted to explore neutral or horizontal traction, in the same way I'll use my hands to take the weight off and walk a little forward. When my nose is under the plumb line, I'll experience more of a neutral position. If I took it further again, forward of the plumb line, you might feel as if your skull is being gently drawn away from your cervical spine. So look for what feels best for you. It might be somewhere in between those 3 points, but just look to explore that gently. Our necks are a subtle and sensitive area of our body. Your positioning of legs can greatly change your comfort in the low back, so you might like to explore knock-kneed, parallel, into a diamond, or feel free to outstretch. So just look for what feels the best for you. I enjoy a knock-kneed position to really get breadth through the back of the neck. Your hands might like to rest on your belly or beside your body, and this is a wonderful place to turn the eyes down or to close the eyelids and to look for very, very subtle motion until it becomes so subtle that it's almost unobservable. And just a sense of feeling a very tiny oscillation at the junction between the atlas and the axis, the top 2 specialized vertebrae of the spine. This again is a wonderful place to find stillness and to really allow your head to be held. Our skull is 4 to 6 kilos of weight, and when we completely release it, a lot of relaxation occurs through the neck, shoulders, and the entire spine. Give yourself a few moments here. Notice the breathing becomes deeper, more relaxed and more rhythmical. When you feel ready to release, we're going to use the thumbs to gently slip the hammock off and return to neutral. Again, this is a wonderful place to spend a few moments as your spine is realigned with the support of the floor, sensing the natural curves of the spine present here. You should feel a small amount of space under the low back and back of the neck, contact with the back of the skull, thoracic spine and sacrum. When you feel ready to ease yourself up, you might choose a basic grip, or if your grip is fatigued today, take a gentle wrist wrap, firm the feet to the floor, and with a gentle tug, sit back into a long seat. I'm going to allow the arms to unravel. And from here today, I'm going to ease myself up further to standing. So again, I could choose a basic grip or a double wrist wrap if that gives me a bit more security. Be prepared to power down into my feet and walk gradually back to stand. Once I'm here, I'm going to look to change again the height of my hammock. I'd like to return it back to that comfortable height for sitting. I'm going to reach up and take it again close toward my knee height. This time as I enter the hammock, I'm going to simply come in from a pouch by finding that front edge, gathering approximately 6 handfuls, and then taking your time to ease down. And you could have taken this hammock up higher if you felt restricted in the knees to come down to this depth. So as we come into a cocoon for meditation today, I'll be guiding you through some visualizations that you may like to just listen auditorily to as you explore the experience of being fully supported in your cocoon. To come into your cocoon, just as we did in the earlier movements focusing on mobility, we're going to open up our wings a little higher than the skull and then allow the body to descend down. Today you might like to find your knees into a diamond, and you might like to hang your arms free overhead. If you would like swing, you can place one foot to the floor and give yourself that push off to the degree of swing that feels comforting and relaxing to you. So over these next few minutes, as you allow yourself to be completely supported in your hammock, once you've found the level of momentum that feels comforting to you, let yourself nestle into the support. Sense the hammock like curved arms wrapped around you. Sensing what it is to be held. This is a place that we invite transformation, that we invite the opportunity to let go of anything heavy, to invite a new sense of lightness into mind and body. Letting go of judgment on self or other. Remembering that we are connected to everything and everyone. Each thought and each action has an effect on the world around us. So this is that opportunity now to clear your mind, to center and ground, to find a sense of peace.
Whenever you feel ready to emerge from your cocoon, take time to allow the eyes to just softly open, taking in the light of the room that you're in. Still aware of your body, aware of your motion, aware of the contact you have with the air and with the support of the hammock. And you might begin by gently creeping your feet out of the hammock. And then you might find your hands up onto the edges of the hammock, bringing yourself gradually to sitting. And once you've found yourself again into your pouch, you can use the assistance of the hammock to find yourself to stand by taking small steps back, aware of keeping secure feet, and then arriving to stand. It's wonderful to take a moment to center your body, your feet a foot's width apart, your pelvis balanced on top, and feeling the shoulders relax, the back of the neck elongated. Perhaps you invite the arms to rise, the pelvis to descend as we remember grace and space in our spine. And allow again the hands to descend. So I wish you a wonderful rest of your day or evening, and thank you for exploring the air with me today.